Thank you for tuning into the Brave Files podcast. I'm telling you, you are in the right place today because, wow, this guest is incredible. Some people just light a fire that warms everyone and everything surrounding them. And this week's guest, Carla Moore, is a serious fire starter in every wonderful way possible. After experiencing a literal crash, Carla redefined what it meant to rebound, transform, and come back better than ever. We talk about the brave process of moving through fear because inevitably greatness is always on the other side. We talk about asking the universe for what you want and then graciously receiving it and connecting on a greater level because we are all meant for bigger things. This episode is not to be missed. So grab a cup of coffee and get ready for one hell of a transformational conversation. Hey, before we start the episode, I have a question for you. Are you ready to start the decade off with intention? Do you want to leverage your fear into intentional bravery and get into action? Then you don't want to miss out on the Vickery & Co. Masterclass Series 2020. We have 6 amazing guest experts teaching classes that will help with well-being and getting into action. The first class starts on January 20th, and this is all about going from frazzled to focused small business planning. And then we have a class on imposter syndrome, writing killer sales pages, living an abundant life, which starts with an abundant mind, executing and getting a strategic action in place, and having it all, unlocking an emotionally intelligent life. Like I said, classes begin on January 20th, and we want to make sure you secure your spot right now. But I have a special treat for those of you who are fans of the Brave Files. Use code BRAVEFILES and you will save $20 on a 6-pack of classes. All you have to do is visit brave.vickeryandco.com/masterclasses2020. Again, that's brave.vickeryandco.com/masterclasses2020. We will also link to it in the show notes. Don't miss your opportunity to join us for these incredible classes and start the new year off right.
Passion, purpose, power.
This is Heather Vickery, and you're listening to The Brave Files, stories from people living courageously. When we choose bravely in big and small ways, it powerfully elevates our lives. I hope these stories connect with you and encourage you to embrace bravery in every possible way, day after day. Together, we can build a movement of courageous living that enriches both our lives and our communities. And if you enjoy the show, I ask you to please share it with others. Maybe think of someone who you want to choose bravely right alongside you. Thanks for tuning in. Now here's the show. Hey everybody, this is Heather Vickery. Welcome to the Brave Files. Y'all are in for such a treat today. A few months ago, one of our past guests, Nicole Zenner from episode 47, The Shot That Changed My Life, called me and said, Heather, I just met this woman and you have to have her on the show. Well, with praise like that, how could I resist? So I reached out to Carla Moore and I got to know her a little bit better. This lady is a powerhouse. She has a 20-year history in the media industry, but my friends, that is not the story she is here to talk about. After a terrifying and shocking car accident, Carla completely transformed her life, and she has then felt called to do the same thing for others, to help them transform their lives. Her new book, Crash, Using Personal Power to Transform Your Leadership, captures that lightning moment that led to her epiphany and the role of personal transformation in improving leadership. She's here to tell us about that and so many other things. Carla, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me. What a beautiful introduction. Thank you so much for having me today. I'm so excited.
You're welcome. Just the brief conversations we've had leading up to this got me very excited. Our energies are aligned, I think, Carla, and I'm excited to share it with everybody. So can you give us a little background? We're going to get to that day that changed your life, but can you tell us a little bit about who Carla Moore was before everything went down?
it was interesting. I was thinking about it today, how I sort of categorized my life in two buckets now. There's BC, before the crash, then there's Carla AC, after the crash.
I like it.
And before
Nicely.
and before crash, I was simply lost, sad, dark on the inside. I didn't have a sense of meaning or purpose, and didn't even know what it was or even how to get it. Not only was I morbidly obese at 350 pounds, carrying that weight around and the weight of everything else, of this being lost, I could not figure out, despite the MBAs, despite the academic and career success, I could not pull the things together that I thought I had wanted really for my life. And I couldn't get to that, bringing that image to life.
Now,
so here,
my question to you is that because it's so much easier to say, wow, I was so messed up when you look back. Did you know it then? Did you feel it then?
Oh, I absolutely did. Now, here's what's funny. I've been on a path to try to, quote, quote, fix myself, try to figure out what it was. I've always been a seeker of knowledge and information and learning all the time. You know, Mama taught us all the time, told us when we were younger that as long as you keep living, you'll keep learning. And we looked for learning in all the right places. I couldn't mesh it. And plus this double life, sort of this dichotomy I was living, making these big, bold business decisions at HBO by day and coming home and consuming volumes of food and in tears every night. I knew I was doing two different things. I just couldn't pull it together.
That is so fascinating to me. So then on September 18th, 2007, what happened?
So on that day, at this point, I was 10 years in with HBO, and I've been traveling 3-4 days a week, literally for 10 years as a marketing manager. And so driving and flying and being on the road, that was just part of what I did. And this particular day, I landed at the airport and just went right into autopilot mode. Just my mind racing. Here I am driving, Heather, not even figuring out, paying attention to what I was doing. I wasn't present. Right. And within minutes of leaving that airport, I lost control of my car and crashed head on into the concrete median. I was going 55 miles an hour in a convertible with no seatbelt.
Oh.
I thought
with
it was
no seatbelt.
No, that's how lost I was, and that's how careless I was about my life. I didn't have that clarity and awareness and understanding of self-passion and self-care and self-love. I clearly was wearing that on my body, but it was also in my mind.
That is such a powerful statement, that you cared so little about yourself that you didn't even think to put on a seatbelt.
It brings me to tears sometimes, even today, to think about it. I didn't even wear seatbelts.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Okay, so that's unbelievable. How in the world did you survive that?
First was grace of God. I know for sure He brought me out of that wreck. And because I was spared, because I was saved and had a second shot at it, that's how I looked at it. I looked at me being spared out of a car crash where my emergency room doctor said to me, Carla, I read the EMT's report and most people don't make it out of a crash like that. Wow. And so the fact that I survived was one. And I went instantly into gratitude. Well, this was the next day after I wrapped my mind around everything. Instant gratitude and awareness that this was literally a second chance. And girl, what are you going to do with this? What are you doing? What are you going to do with it? And I made that conscious decision to make that list. I don't know if you read that part or not, but I made the list of 4 things I wanted most for my life. In fact, the 4 things came so quickly because they'd been in my head for over 20 years. Yeah. Before I left college, and now I was 40 at the car crash, for 20 years I'd wanted 4 things and hadn't made it happen.
Well, what are the 4 things? Tell everybody.
The first one, and I still have that piece of paper today. Number 1, lose 100 pounds. I've never been able to lose that amount of weight before in my life and keep it off. 2, run a 5K. You know, I'm from a small town called Centerville, Tennessee, and all we had was school, sports, and church. And so, and maybe not necessarily in that order, but I was athletic, even though I was heavier. Then I missed being physical. I missed being strong in my body. 3, reactivate my community service. Mama taught us that thing, living in a small town. We understood community and service to others and caring about others. I missed doing it, stopped doing it. And 4, see Rome.
Oh,
And that was ever since I was a little girl, I wanted to see Rome. After reading about it in the encyclopedia.
Yeah, of course, in the encyclopedia, of course.
The World Book Encyclopedia. That was our that was our internet back then.
I love it.
So
those are 4 worthy and wonderful goals, and they say so much, about what actually matters, right? You didn't want to make $1 million. You didn't want to become a TV star. You just wanted to feel good and do things that filled your soul.
Yes, Heather. And that's the piece that I could not unlock and had not unlocked. That's why I was still in misery at 40, despite the MBA, again, despite all the academic career success. I hadn't unlocked that getting to me, making my life meaningful and purposeful and living with intention. I hadn't done that. I thought I was by setting goals like finish college, get the degree, get this job. But I wasn't going inward with it. And that's what I missed.
That's so powerful. There are so many people I know that are in that space and looking for a sign. Well, friends, here's your sign. This is it. You're meant for bigger things. And that isn't that job, that degree, that whatever. It's feeling connected. Especially your part about getting involved in community again and giving back. We can't give to anyone else if we don't give ourselves anything.
Absolutely. And that's why it was on the list. It is literally, we grew up this way. Again, we mentioned the church piece. We're very spiritually grounded. Mama taught us that early on to help and serve others. And it was a piece missing in my life. So in 1 year, after writing that down the day after the car crash, in 1 year, I lost my first 100 pounds, ran my first 5K and subsequent triathlon. I reactivated all my church, civic, sorority organizations and took a 2-week solo vacation to
Rome.
And first stop was Rome.
Oh my God.
And
I love it.
I had to get to it. And I felt myself coming back to myself. I felt as I was hitting these markers and living this life, Heather, my feet didn't even hit the ground most of that year. I was so into being happy that I found this clarity and awareness and a pathway forward.
But let's break it down for a minute. Okay. How do you go from being almost dead in a car crash to writing out 4 things that you want to change to having achieved within 1 year all of those things? What did you actually do to change yourself and achieve those goals?
There's it's funny I'm using number 4 again. There's 4 things, because this is the question. What are the actionable items, Carla? How do we make this happen?
Yeah.
It was that day. So this number 1 thing, of course, I wrote them down. I wrote them all down. But I had to visualize. So writing down is big. That's also key. I don't want to make light of that. That is absolutely key.
It is a big deal.
I read when I wrote those down, when words get written down, the energy of those letters, the words are in the universe. I traced that paper with my hand. I ran my finger across those words. I said on that day that I would accept no other alternative, that no thing was going to stop me from living the life I imagined. So I had to set my mind to do that. So I wrote it down. I set my mind. Here comes my 3 key steps. The first one is visualization.
Yeah. Yes.
I had to see myself in every single one of those categories. And I mean every single day. Every day I visualized me losing the weight, running through the tape of the 5K, getting back into church service and giving back in my organizations and seeing myself in Rome, buying that ticket. I mean, I had to put myself physically in that space, and that's exactly what happened. What supported it was daily affirmations. I wrote down what I wanted to create and said it every morning. After I prayed, after my feet hit the ground, I said my prayers, then I also grabbed my affirmation sheet, and I said things like, my body restores itself to its natural state of well-being. I meet kind and loving people. Money comes easily and frequently. You know, whatever it is I wanted to have happen. This was every day. And so after visualization, supported by my affirmations, then had to focus on them by educating myself. Heck, how am I really going to lose 100 pounds? And how do I get ready for a 5K? And what organizations can I reactivate? And finally, doing the work. Yeah. I mean, you have to get out there and act on it. You have to move.
It's big work. Yeah.
It's a lot of, yes, it's work. Transformation is not for the weak.
No, it's not for sissies. That's for sure. Not for sissies.
Oh my gosh, I'm going to use that one.
But it's so interesting to me because you come from this sort of very rigid corporate background and from a very religious background. And a lot of people I know from religious backgrounds don't buy into the visualization, the manifestation, the mantras, the affirmations. I believe in them completely. And in fact, I'm reading a book right now called Outrageous Openness. Have you heard this or read it?
I'm writing it down.
It's really, really great book. We'll link to it in the show notes. And she is sort of a religious scholar, but this is what she's talking about, releasing it to the divine, whether you believe in a God or not, or multiple gods or whatever works for you in your life, doing mantras and manifesting and giving it up and saying, I know there is a path for me that is perfectly and rightly chosen. I'm going to pay attention to the signs and I'm going to take action.
Oh, absolutely. And she's absolutely right. And I get your point about a lot of people don't believe in those types of things. Even when I talk spirituality, I don't, I'm not giving book, chapter, verse every day. But here's what I do know. There is something higher at work than just you. I mean, there's something at work. Heck, I needed something. I went 40 years and couldn't figure it out. Yeah, I kept trying to lean to my own understanding and and it wasn't working. I knew I had to give it up. I had to surrender to what I knew was a higher power in order to plug into that power source to make this thing happen.
Yeah, I think that is incredible. And it's no joke, this visualization and manifestation. And you do have to do the work. I remember reading something quite a while ago that said, manifestation only works when you do. Imagine if you're listening to the radio and it's the Motown station and you're digging it. It's great. But all of a sudden you have this overwhelming urge to listen to Bruce Springsteen. Do you think that if you just sit there and think any minute this station's going to play Bruce Springsteen, any minute the boss is coming on, or do you need to change the channel? And I was like, oh, right. It's changing the channel isn't a guarantee that the boss is going to come on either. Absolutely but changing the channel gives you a hell of a lot better chance.
Absolutely. Yes. You've got to shift. You have to be the captain of your own vessel and allowing other people to, I write this in my book. One of my, so my chapters in the books aren't called chapters. They're called lanes. You probably noticed. So lane one, lane two. There's other car metaphors.
Everything's a car metaphor. I have that later on to chat with you about, but we can talk about it now because I think it's so clever. Did you come up with that on your own? Or
I did.
I think it's so cute. So there's lanes and there's pit stops, which is like get into action, and fuel for thought, which are little takeaways, is really clever.
Thank you so much. One of the lanes chapters is called changing your own tires. Change your own tires. And what I'm talking about in that is so many of us rely on everyone else to do something for us. Even a boss. I'm probably won't get promoted until she gets me promoted, or relying on other people when it's you who's got to do the work. Even when we're talking about overcoming adversity, this notion of, well, I'm like this because my daddy is, my mommy is, and the auntie's like this, and they maybe. No, you have to own you.
I have no control.
You're going to have to own you in every area of this thing.
I have a cousin whom I adore. I do. But he wasn't raised with a lot of discipline, and he was late for school every day, all of these things. They didn't sit down and have regular family dinner. And he's almost 40. And at like age 32, he said, well, my mom screwed me up. And I said, everybody's mom screwed them up. Like,
yes.
It's time to get over it and be a grown-up.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
What?
No. And
So,
so many people many people really believe that. They believe that they are not empowered or don't have the power. That's why I talk about passion and purpose and doing this inner work. Once you get a sense of who you are, what you're here to do, that's when you can move with that force and that power and help to create the life you've imagined.
Absolutely. Those are lines that I use too, and I love that about you. Create the life you've imagined. It's part of my marketing language too. So I love that we have that in common.
Oh my gosh.
Can I ask like actual specifics on how you pulled off losing 100 pounds? I get the running, right? It's hard to run like that if you don't lose the weight and you just start training. But weight loss is really it's such an emotional, mental thing for so many people.
Oh my gosh.
How did you accomplish that?
It's so bad. So tactically, I decided on, excuse me, that I was going to do one thing, meaning one program. I wasn't going to do Atkins. I wasn't going to do this. I was going to do one thing. And that was calculate the number of calories I needed to drop X number of pounds a week that would lead me to 100 pounds in a year.
Just some math.
And I'm gonna tell you, I've been on a diet since I was 8 years old. So I've tried everything. And I said, let me just simplify this thing and get down to the nitty gritty of what is my intake of calories, what type of exercise is involved to offset the calories I take in order to end up with this weight loss. I mean, it literally. I wish I had a magical story, but I bought a treadmill. It is kind of
magic, though. It is just the fact.
It really is. And when I realized this is what I need to eat, drink, and do every day to do it, I stayed with it. I bought a treadmill, put it in my basement. I got on that thing every day. And let me tell you, the first day, I had to take a nap after 10 minutes. It was in the morning.
That would be me.
Listen, I got up. I got on that treadmill, got off of it 10 minutes and laid down on the couch. I mean, I just couldn't get my body. But then the next week, I went 15 minutes. And I got up to where I challenged myself and registered to run the 5K. I was in tears when I did it. I remember registering online, which made me also get real focused because I had about 3 months before that was coming up. So I made it up in my mind, and it was a literal writing down of every single thing I put in my mouth every day. I did it for a year, every day.
And so you journaled what you ate as well. I journaled,
counted.
That's important,
yes,
I think.
That's a big part. I'm sorry, I missed that. That is absolutely a big part. I mean, breakfast, snack, lunch, dinner, snack. Every single thing had the total X number of calories, whatever I was looking for, and calculate it at the end of every day. Stopped eating 2-3 hours before bedtime. That was it. I accepted nothing else but this weight loss. I wanted nothing but that. I missed out on a lot of social events too. You have to give up some things.
Yeah.
I miss
I'll bet.
Margarita Mondays with the girls. I miss weekends, hanging out with the parties and things. Because I did not put myself in those positions where I knew I couldn't win.
Yeah. That's smart too, not being in situations that are going to challenge the things that you most want.
Right.
So as you're doing this, which is clearly an inspirational personal and physical transformation, how does it start to impact the way you move through the world and the job that you do and the people that you work with?
And let me tell you, what was unexpected for me in this personal transformation, and as I was moving through this change and this shift in my life, Heather, everything else started to shift. I mean,
that's what happened.
Professionally, spiritually, financially. Okay, professionally, as I start to stand up taller and stronger, being more confident, because I now know who I am. Because I'm going through the process. I'm doing this work every day.
Yeah.
Journaling, writing down, exploring my own thoughts, paying attention to my feelings and what's coming up for me today, and all of that. As I'm doing that, my confidence is improving, my self-esteem, the unexpected piece of people around me started to see that and move with it too. They saw me go from 350, 340, 300, 270, 280, and they're like, Carla, what are you doing? And see, it's contagious. And so when I started to bring that into the workplace, I began to be and I say this humbly, but a mentor to people, a confidant. Other people started to see the shift and they said, Carla, I want to change my life. And maybe it wasn't weight loss. Carla, just seeing you move through that and seeing now how you're showing up at work, it's impacting other people. So people on my team got inspired. And guess what? Within a year, folks on my team and folks around me started to take in these principles of, again, clarity and awareness and finding this journey of your own passion, purpose, and teaching people how to do that. Yeah. They were getting promoted. Now, I was getting promoted as well. My sales territories were improving, were increasing and growing exponentially. People on my team were getting promoted. I was getting bigger and bigger responsibilities and scopes of responsibility. The last 7 years at HBO, my career trajectory has been steeper the last 7 years than the first 13 combined.
Wow. So
the more I started to get clear and owning my own power and standing in the humble confidence of my own talent, skills, and abilities, that's what started to come through.
It's beautiful.
Beautiful. Spiritually, everything became clearer to me. Things that were so confusing. If I'd read scripture, or even if I read poetry or poems, words started to get clearer to me. It really has been an amazing thing to see, even in myself, in this development.
I love it so much. And, I tell my clients, my coaching clients, we can't change other people. We can only change ourselves. But when we change ourselves, we change the people around us.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Even my girlfriends, oh, Carla, my boyfriend is this. I can't change him. I can't change him. I said, you cannot. You cannot change it. If you change you will by default change the dynamic of that relationship.
Yep. Every time.
Get clear on you. Yes, she was lost. I mean, when we don't have this awareness again of our own purpose, why we're here, what are we doing, what are we in it for, then we're just in the wind. We're just in the wind.
So tell me how you took all of this and when. I really want to know, like, when it spoke to you and in what way. You took all of this personal transformation. You started noticing a change in the people around you, that they were achieving more. And at some point you said, well, I have to talk about this. I have to share this with people. I have to write about it. I want to go and speak about it. I want to coach people. How did that happen?
And it's funny. I wasn't going to, first of all, I didn't even have a thought about a book. I didn't know how to write one, who to call. I mean, who do you call? Hey, random house, gotta get a book. I mean, how do you?
Ghostbusters, I don't know.
and it was, literally, it was over 5 years ago. I was in the backseat of my sister's car and we were all taking my niece and nephew to soccer practice. And I'm in the back because they were fighting in the back. So I split them up. I got in the back, grabbed my Game of Thrones notebook, true story, and wrote out. My sister's a school teacher. She's also I'm sorry. She's now a school principal. She was just named, by the way, the principal.
Congrats to her.
Of the largest school here, one of the largest schools in Georgia. But anyway, because we sort of are aligned. Our personalities are alike. We think big. We talk like this. We're very passionate about things that mean a lot to us. And so she was just feeding off my energy and mine hers. She's like, Carla, write a book. And I said, yes, and it could be called Crash. That was the day I got, I'm telling you, it was that day the name came. Leading through the wreckage, that came. Lanes instead of chapters, that came. Car metaphors.
Wow.
Anyway, so I held that for about 2 years. And as I started to be asked for panels at work and for industry organizations, heck, I started telling them about it, about how my transformation drove my personal transformation, drove my leadership transformation. When people started to hear the story, from 300 pounds of triathlete, from entry-level sales trainer to vice president of sales, people are like, oh my gosh, Carla, you should write this down. You should write this down. I'm like, oh, okay. You know what? let's see what we can do. And one day I was standing and giving a testimony somewhere at a conference, 15 minutes. And little did I know that in the audience was a Forbes Books publisher. She walked up right to me and said, Carla, let's write your book. That's how it got done. When you put out in the universe what it is you want, when you just put it out there, I'm telling you, it transpires in your favor. Things transpire in your favor. I didn't know that the book publisher was going to be in the audience the day I'm speaking to franchisees.
Okay, so what was your writing process like? You weren't a writer. You sat on it for 2 years because it's a really big, overwhelming, kind of terrifying prospect. So, and then this person believed in you and said, "We're going to do this." So then, how did you make that happen?
So I signed on the dotted line. Yes, I'll do this book through Forbes Books, and they assembled a team for me. And
That's kind of badass, not gonna lie. Especially because when I wrote my book, I didn't have a team.
Well, now it cost a pretty penny, but this notion to have a group of people to help you put this thing together. But I was bringing the content, and not only didn't write it, they actually interviewed me too. They have a program over there called Speak Your Book. It's geared towards busy executives, and so.
Love that.
My interview, it was awesome. 6 hour long, it might have been 10, maybe 10 hour long sessions captured. And then just me talking like this. Then we'd get the transcript, then we organized my chapters. And of course, believe it or not, in 90 days,
wow,
the book was on the paper. The words were on the paper.
Wow. 90 days.
90 days. The words
amazing.
For my book were on paper. It took another year to edit. Why? Because I cried every other sentence. I relived that whole thing.
Editing is hard work. Yeah.
I relived that whole thing, Heather. And even today when I tell my story, sometimes I still tear up but writing that and reading through like every word and knowing that I was being vulnerable, this was it. Because if I'm going to tell this story, I'm going to tell the whole thing.
Yeah.
Oh.
What are you hoping the results will be? Why are you out sharing this story, as you refer to it, as your testimony? Why did you write this book? What is the result you want?
I want this book to be available for anyone who's looking, who's searching for answers of how to get out of their own darkness, or anyone who is stuck in transition and looking for a breakthrough. Because you know what they say, when the student's ready, the teacher shows up. I want my book to be that. You may not see me in a room. I may not be in a workshop with you. But if you're looking for something, that this book is one tool that's out here for you to take these transformation principles and know you don't have to live in darkness. Yeah, I was 40 and I just got to it. I'm 50 now, so I've been 10 years living like this. And I wish I had someone. I'm sorry.
You wish you had a Carla.
And I mean, and of course I know self-help books have been around since the beginning of books. That there's been coaches and people around for the beginning of time. But I'm doing this my way, and I feel like it's. That my story of real life, real talk, giving people real advice in real time, there's a realness that I often don't see in other people who, or at least they just do it different.
Sure. Well, that's the thing, is there really are no new ideas. There's just new ways to present them.
It.
And nobody's going to write a book the way Carla Moore's going to write a book. And nobody's going to give a speech the way Carla Moore gives a speech, just like nobody hosts a podcast the way that I do.
Absolutely.
And there's something for everybody.
Yes. And there's something about your podcast that will resonate, that will touch someone different than if you didn't have the podcast. I believe we may miss people. I say this all the time to folks. If we don't get to what we were here to do, if each of us don't get to it, I believe we miss out.
That's right.
I'd miss out on you, Heather, if you weren't giving us and serving the world with what the talents and gifts you have. And I love your mission and what you're here to do as well.
Oh, thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
You wrote the sweetest note in the book. I have a copy of Carla's book, which she was generous enough to send to me with a love note inside. which was really special. So I really appreciate you've made it authentic and honest and vulnerable and no BS. It's just the facts presented in a way that is clever and easy to take bite-sized steps and make tiny little changes.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I think it's really cool.
Thank you.
How do you feel as you move through your days now?
Beautiful question, because I am more tuned in to how I am feeling. And I know that you intentionally use the word feel. I do too.
Yes.
I feel, I make sure that I pay attention to how I feel in this transition. Many people don't know this yet, but I am transitioning away from HBO after a 22-year career and stepping fully into expanding my speaking business, my writing, my executive coaching, and my leadership development workshops and seminars for companies and other organizations. And when I tell you, and it was 90 days ago, I just left New York, packed up, moved to Atlanta to be here with my family.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So here in Atlanta.
That's a big deal.
Oh, it's big. I haven't lived near or around either one of my siblings since I left college. That's 30 years.
Wow.
And I pay attention to how happy, oh goodness, I'm about to tear up, how happy I am. I mean, I feel my heart feels good. There's not an anxiety and all this fear of what it's like being an entrepreneur. And I don't know what it is. I don't know what's on the other side for me. And I'm not saying that there's no fear, but and
that's right.
And we know that bravery isn't the absence of fear.
That's right.
Bravery is moving through it anyway to get to the other side, because on the other side of fear is greatness. So I like just talking about this, and when I share people what my days are like, I'm strong, I'm happy, I feel courageous. I also feel so blessed that I know what I was called to do, and now being able to do it fully.
Yeah.
I feel gratified, and I feel like I'm honoring the gifts I've been given in order to serve the world.
That's beautiful. What sort of grounding rituals do you have daily?
Aside from a glass of wine, no, I'm kidding. No, ma'am. I mean, the moment, and I've already said this, the moment I open my eyes, I thank God for seeing another day. There is immediate prayer and giving just thanks and gratitude for being here and being able to do and serve another day. And I stay prayerful throughout the day. Then I get the wine. No, I'm kidding. I just stay present. Yeah. Because that was the source of my car crash. I was looking straight ahead, Heather, but not seeing. I was looking straight ahead. I was not present. And so what keeps me grounded is doing those check-ins with myself throughout the day, even particularly still when I'm driving. Do you know sometimes I will still catch myself on the way to the grocery store and already running through. I'm writing an article in my head. I'm like, ooh, don't forget the oranges. Did I call my sister today about? I'm like, Carla, stop it.
Because driving is rote memory.
It is.
You know where you're going. You don't have to pay attention to it. And it is really easy to completely be distracted.
It is. And I stay present when I'm around people. When neighbors come by, I keep myself present. I heard someone say, wherever you are, be there.
Yep.
Wherever you are.
I have "Be Here Now" tattooed on my inner left wrist.
No.
I do.
I love it. I'm getting one. It's going to say "Choices Shape Destiny." But it's going to be an anagram where the same 5 letters that make up the word choice will spell out destiny upside down.
That's cool.
It is. I'm scared to do it though because I want to put it on my wrist too, and they say it hurts. But anyway,
it doesn't hurt that bad.
Staying present. Thank you. Staying present, staying in the moment. That's what keeps me grounded all day, every day. Now, don't get me wrong. I get off sometimes.
Sure.
But I'm enlightened enough to know, thank goodness, that I know when I'm off. I know when I'm off track. I'm going to get
Good for
myself back
you.
on it.
Well, that's it. We fall off all the time. And the difference is you can't just go, well, I screwed that up, so I guess I'm out. You go, that didn't work well, but it does work well when I follow the systems or the steps or the things that keep me on track. So I'm just going to start up again.
Absolutely. And when people ask me, how you went a whole year watching what you ate and you didn't miss any, you didn't fall off the wagon. Of course I did. The key to winning is getting back on that thing. Yeah, I would mess up a day, but I had to but that next day I was like, this is Carla, I
Carla.
was focused. Yes. And and they weren't, major things, but I knew I did things. Maybe I missed a workout. Maybe I had a little something sweet or a bit more than I should have, but I knew what I was doing. I knew to stay forward.
You're still human, and it's just, you said it. You just do it again. You just go back to doing it.
Absolutely.
So I love that. All of this time, all of these wonderful things, this growth, I love that you've kissed your corporate career goodbye I'm sure in a loving way, and it's baby bittersweet, but how exciting. How do you celebrate when you have a win or when something successful happens?
I love this question because I write about, yes, you're welcome, because I actually wrote in my book and in my writings, and I was saying it even before I wrote it. I was speaking before I was a writer, that I was so caught up in this rat race, in this mindless pursuit of promotions, that I failed to stand in a space of gratitude when successes happen. I didn't celebrate, which made me feel like I wasn't good enough if I just didn't get that next thing. Like, I would forget, Carla, you just got an MBA while working full time and traveling 3 days a week.
Yes.
But no, mine was get the MBA so we can go ahead and get promoted on this role. Then I get that role. Well, nope. You can't celebrate that. It's time to move on to the next one. If you don't stop and celebrate the successes, your achievements, it will. The opposite happened for me.
That's right.
I was feeling like I wasn't good enough because I kept pursuing something higher when I should have been standing in the space of appreciation and gratitude and thinking, being thankful for that. And when you acknowledge these successes and wins, it fills you up. So I started a success journal. I now write those. Here are things I do. I write down my successes and achievements. And I just say, thank you for allowing me to have this. I write it down so I could feel it.
Yes.
And it also creates a place for me to go to as a source of encouragement when I am down sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can go back. And then, of course, coming together with my family and celebrating with others.
Yeah.
It's big.
I love that.
Signifies the moment when you have people there who can toast you too and celebrate
with you. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love it. When you said all those things, I don't even know if you know this or not, but I have a book on gratitude and a gratitude journal out that has people record what they're grateful for and also what their wins are for the day, and then 180 unique prompts for connecting with gratitude in a unique and surprising way.
That's beautiful. I kept the gratitude journal during my transformation process. I kept it for the first 100 pounds and read it every day. That was another thing I did. Affirmations in the gratitude journal. But I didn't have any prompts. I just had a blank spiral notebook. It was just writing down. I'd love prompts. To get that. Oh, I do
well,
too.
I will give you one.
Oh,
Can I send you one?
Absolutely. Would you please?
Yeah,
oh, I
would love to. Yeah. So when we are finished with the interview, I'll get your address and it'd be my pleasure to share it with you. Because I would love to know how you feel about it and using it, and if it's doing what I want it to do, which I think it does, but I'd love to hear that. So I'm excited to ask you this question because one of your 4 commitments the day after your accident was to get more civically involved. So what is your favorite charitable organization to support?
So right now, I actually support 2 financially regularly, and one is the American Red Cross. And people say, why the Red Cross, Carla? Why?
No, the Red Cross is a great organization.
It is, but people think that because it's so big, Carla, don't you think your money could be somewhere else? But let me tell you, my very first year out of college, my roommate from college and I became roommates in our adult lives, in our first jobs out of school. Do you know in the first year our apartment complex was burned down?
Oh my
We
goodness.
and the whatever vandalism that took place. It started at our end of the building. I lost every single thing. What I
Wow.
wore to work that day is what I had. And the American Red Cross came in. I promise you, it was in 24 hours. The apartment complex gave us a new apartment, and the Red Cross gave us bed, dishes, clothes, towels, washcloths. I mean, they've set us up to get started and to restart again. I mean, I'll just never forgot it. And I've always wondered, you know, when I donate, I'm like, who are we helping today? Who are we going to help? Who are we going to help with the restart? So that's a big one for me. The second one is, so remember when I said I reactivated of course, my church and civic, but my sorority organization. My sorority is Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, and we are a public service organization. We're internationally known. We're the largest of all of these public service Black Greek letter organizations. And so we have a program called Delta GEMS, GEMS, and we train, educate, teach, and mentor at-risk adolescent young Black girls. We teach them about
That's
health,
amazing.
hygiene, finance, culture, how to live, how to be, and keeping them safe and healthy and successful, and getting them off to college. And what we know is the last chapter I work with, and I'll just finish with this. The last statistic I heard is that 80% of the girls who go through Delta Gym program go to college.
That's
Go to
amazing.
college. So just getting there is a win for kids who didn't even think, they may have thought that college was an opportunity.
Yeah.
So yes.
Those are
Thank you for
wonderful
asking.
organizations. Absolutely. It's my favorite question to ask. I believe we have an obligation to be involved civically and in a community standpoint and to support one another. So thank you for that. Carla, will you share your 3 words with us one last time?
Yes. Passion, purpose, power.
So those 3 words mean something very specific to you.
Yes.
Why don't you tell everybody what that is?
Passion means knowing who you are, getting underneath what you love and the things you like so you can have an enjoyable life. Purpose, this understanding of what you're here to do, what you are here to do. How will you serve the world? Passion is for you. Purpose is for others. And passion plus purpose equals power. When you get those together, you will be empowered to activate that force in you, to live the life you've imagined. That's what it means
Beautiful.
to me.
It's beautiful. I love it. And I love that. Passion plus purpose equals power. It's incredible. Oh, Carla, your energy and warmth are so compelling.
Thank
I
you.
love it. I think you and I are alike in so many ways. We're soul sisters. Our missions are aligned. Yeah. It's funny because I know the stuff you're saying is true. It's the same stuff that I teach and I share with people. But something about hearing it from you makes me believe in even more possibilities than I believed in before. I think you're a gift.
Thank you so much. I received that humbly. Thank you. That's so beautiful. Thank you.
Well, thank you very, very much for being here, listeners. I hope that you loved this as much as I did. You're going to go out and get your copy of Crash from your local bookstore as soon as possible. You guys,
Amazon.com.
Amazon.com. I know I'm kind of trying not to do Amazon as much lately, but it's okay.
That's the only way I can get my book.
I'm trying to shop local. I can't. Oh, we can't get it. I know you can't get my book at the bookstore.
And mine either.
But we got to change that. We're going to work on that.
We
Carla.
are.
We got to fix that problem.
We got to fix that.
Listeners, we want to do some big things around here. We want to do some live tapings. We want to do a Brave scholarship for people. We have so many big dreams. And in order to do that, I really need everyone's support. So if you don't already know it, we have a Patreon page. And there are a bunch of different levels where you can join our Brave community and receive some wonderful gifts, but mostly help us grow and do fantastic things. If you visit us at patreon.com/Brave livefiles.com/bravefiles. You can check it all out, and it would mean the world to have you join our community and show that you're believing in the work that we're doing. I can't do it without all of you and all of our amazing guests. Carla, I loved having you here.
It was so fun. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. Everybody, just do me a favor. Go out today and choose bravely, and I'll talk to you next week. You've been listening to The Brave Files, stories from people living courageously. To learn more about the show, find our show notes, or get some great bonus content, visit thebravefilespodcast.com. And we'd love to know what you think. You can give us a call at 312-646-0205. Let us know your thoughts on the episode, the show in general, or maybe share with us how you're out choosing bravely. This episode is brought to you by Vickery & Co. Success Coaching, coaching that helps you maintain a life well lived and a business well run. Learn more at vickeryandco.com. Our music is produced by Matt Lewis. Follow him on Instagram at mattmmusic or visit his website, theunionband.com. We couldn't do any of this without our extraordinary audio engineer, Andrew Olson. Learn more about him and check out his work at findandrewolson.com. And special thanks to our associate producer, Kim Statler. I'm your host and executive producer, Heather Vickery. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you next week. The Brave Files is proudly supported by Audible. If you enjoy listening to podcasts, you're sure to love listening to your favorite books on Audible. Get your free 30-day trial, complete with a credit for a free audiobook download today, simply by visiting audibletrial.com/thebravefiles. Again, that's visiting audibletrial.com/thebravefiles.